So a couple of long-standing channels in the YouTube gun community, Bloke on the Range and Pulling Our Tactical, have issued a challenge to the YouTube gun community called the 1 minute of angle all day long challenge. And essentially the challenge is asking people to submit a video of themselves shooting a 1 minute of angle group off the cuff, 10 shots into under 1 MOA, whether that's 1 inch at 100 yards or half an inch at 50 yards and beyond. And I thought it would be really fun to attempt this challenge here with my most accurate pistol. This is a Hammerli 208. Shot this in competition. I've shot all my personal best records with this handgun. And I also recently just remounted a red dot because I'm going to shoot a match tomorrow with a red dot on it. So I'm taking this also as an opportunity to zero my red dot today. And unfortunately, the rules are quite clear that it has to be a rifle under 10.5 pounds to participate in this challenge, and this is unequivocally not a rifle. So when I shoot this Hammerli 208, it's not going to be shot for score. It does not fall within the rule set, so it doesn't count. So I'm also going to shoot my 3 rifle submissions today. I've selected the 3 rifles I think are going to give me the best chance of shooting a minute of angle group today, so let's go ahead and shoot. I forgot how much this thing's like a pop gun. So this is my CZ 457 Lux. It is a fantastic rifle. It's a 22 long rifle made by CZ as a 24-inch barrel. And this one's kind of cool because it actually has a factory threaded muzzle. A lot of them don't come with that. And this is cool because it has iron sights. And even though it does have iron sights, I've got a loopholed scope on here with quick detach rings, and I shoot it either way. I can swap it either or, and the scope usually holds 0. The scope itself is a loopholed FX1. It's a fixed 4-power rimfire scope, and it has a really fine crosshair that I really like. The length of pull is a little short for me, but the trigger on this gun from the factory is really amazing. Unfortunately, it did loosen up on me during competition, and I had to reset it, and I kind of went overboard, so it has a heavier trigger than I would like. It was like 3 pounds from the factory, and then it dropped below 3 pounds, so then I brought it way back up, so it's probably at like 4 pounds right now. And I would much rather have it at that 3 pounds that it came from the factory. But yeah, this is just a fantastic rifle. If you like shooting, get yourself one of these rifles, and it's a perfect little rifle. It is not by any means expensive, and they come in all sorts of different configurations, with iron sights, without iron sights, stocks for children, stocks for adults, plastic stocks, walnut stocks, heavy barrels, you know, whatever. With the CZ 457 using CCI standard, that is about, let's see here, 1.5, center. And I'm looking at about, that there is about 1 in 30 seconds, like 2.5 MOA. You know, I haven't shot a rifle in a few months, so I'm pretty happy with that. Doesn't fare well for my pistol challenge though. I reckon the pistol's gonna be like, you know, the 10 ring at best. So let's go ahead and take a look at its target. And as you can see, all those shots are way up over the bullseye. My aiming point was this white X. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, because it's zeroed for 100 yards, so I have to kind of aim lower. So this actually surprised me. I wanted to shoot in the order that I thought was going to give me the best chances of shooting a 1 MOA group today. And I thought that this gun would shoot a 1 MOA group because the last time I shot it in competition, I was shooting unsupported. So that means with a sling in the prone, no sandbag. And I shot a group, I think that was smaller than this one from the prone. So if I could shoot that unsupported from the prone, I figured that with a sandbag, I could probably shoot a group, you know, half that size or maybe 3/4 of that size. Unfortunately, I shot 1 in 30 seconds, which is approximately the thickness of a Twinkie. And I'll go ahead and splice in the actual image with the little computer program telling you exactly what the MOA is. So yeah, it's not a 1 MOA gun with CCI standard. Maybe I should try some different ammo, but really I don't care because the one competition I shoot with that rifle, that's the size of the X-ring anyway, so if it can hold the X-ring, it's fine. Got it. I normally have a wedge of lead in the stock here to kind of keep it more balanced and less muzzle heavy, but because the requirement says it has to be under 10.5 pounds for the rules, I had to beat this fucking thing out of there, which took me forever to get in there in the first place. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Let's see how it does. All right, my next rifle that I shot was my Rock River Arms National Match M16 A4. Pretty awesome rifle, in my opinion. I shoot this in competition, trying to go distinguished. Haven't got any service rifle points besides the introductory ones. This rifle is actually pretty cool. So even though it looks kind of like a standard M16 pattern rifle, it actually has a heavy barrel in here, a stainless heavy barrel. That's why it's so muzzle heavy, and that's why I had that lead in there to kind of balance it out. And the other thing is, even though it looks like a standard A2 handguard, this is actually a free float tube under there. If you look in the front here, it's actually kind of like a sleeper almost, right? There's a big tube that runs over the barrel here, and then the handguard's hooked into that tube. And that differs from the normal AR-15 setup, where there's a triangular nose cap here that's attached directly to the barrel and the front sight block. And this is great because, you know, you can pull and squeeze and press down on this as much as you want, and it's not going to affect your barrel in any way. It's just going to flex the tube. It's not going to flex the barrel. This can really start to shift your point of impact if you have a sling that's really, really, really tight, especially at like 600 yards where you shoot these in competition. Moving further back, the scope is a 4-power ACOG, and I will say I really should have brought some electrical tape because that fiber optic was like really blown out. Even though I have it like 90% covered up, I needed to cover it up like 99% to get it where I needed it. Just using the standard Trijicon mount, and it's a good mount. I don't know why people complain about it and spend $150 on a fucking mount. Just a A2 buttstock. I removed the butt swivel because when I shoot this offhand in competition, I like to get that buttstock just kind of hooked into my shoulder, and that A2 sling swivel really kind of throws me off. So when I shoot it offhand, this is kind of how I shoot. The other thing is I don't really use this sling to carry the rifle. This is mainly used for shooting. So I usually disconnect it from the rear here. That's why I just have it hooked on with some paracord. It's got a bad lever because I'm really cool. When you're shooting service rifle competition, you do not move your offhand and you do your reload. Everything is with the right hand, including your reload and the rapid fire stages. And so it's really useful to be able to do my reload, put in a new mag, and then drop the bolt with my same hand. Still rocking the A2 grip. Love the A2 grip. If you don't like the A2 grip, that's fine. You know, you're wrong, but that's fine. Other than that, pretty standard fare. It's just a really nice match accurized AR-15 from Rock River Arms. And as you can see from the target, it shoots really well. That's a really nice group. I got one outside of the main group. I think that's gonna put me over MOA. That's looking like, it's a hair over 9/16. It's about 45/64 of an inch. That one shot put me over half an inch. So goes to show how difficult it is to hold one MOA. You can do it for 9 shots, but to do it for that one extra to get 10 shots out of 10 and half an inch at 50 yards, it's pretty difficult. So this looks like a fail, but I'm gonna run it through the software anyway, see what it says for sure. Federal Premium 77 grain match ammo. I have one shot outside of a half inch. So I've got 9 shots in here, and then I've got one shot right out here. So if I measured this, and this was under half an inch, and then with that one shot out there, it came out to 45/64, or approximately 0.9 eagle talons. Renewed my faith in that ammo. I thought that ammo was garbage because I had shot that ammo in a match. I didn't bring enough hand loads to shoot 2 matches that I signed up for. I only had enough to shoot 1. And I really wanted to do well in one of the matches, and I didn't really care too much about the other. So I just bought this ammo and I shot it in the match I didn't really care too much about. I didn't shoot very well in that match at all. But, you know, I figured, hey, I'm super out of practice. Before that match, I hadn't shot a rifle for like 6 months at that point. I hadn't shot a gun for like 6 months at that point. I figured that was just me doing bad. But then the next day, I shot that match that I really cared about, and I was using my hand loads, and I shot way better. I shot much more near my average. I think I shot like a 93%. If you shoot service rifle, you might know what that means. So I figured my gun just wasn't jiving with that Federal Premium stuff, but seeing this target kind of renews my faith in it. I think my gun just probably wasn't zeroed for it, and my scope is not the best choice for service rifle competition. I really should get a scope that I dial and go to the range and get my zeros and do my clicks and stuff, but I'm lazy. I literally just use holds on there. So the 6 hash mark, I use the 6 hash mark at 600 yards. I use the 3 mark at 300 yards. I use the chevron at 200 yards. So yeah, it's whatever. All right, so took a few minutes to cool off, let the cameras cool down, ran the AC, switched camera positions. The other camera position started getting hit by the sun, caused the camera to overheat. And let's go ahead and see if the M41B is minute of angle. Last of the rifles, we've got the beautiful Swedish M41B. This was a Swedish military sniper rifle developed, well, in 1941. The pattern anyway, the rifles were older than that, and they were essentially accurized and selected for accuracy and stuff like that. So this rifle has a 28-inch barrel. It's a 6.5 Swede. It's actually essentially just an infantry pattern or 1896 rifle, and then they kind of sniperized it. It has this really cool German side rail style mount here, and that's how the scope is attached, and you can use it to quick detach the scope as well. It might not be the most solid mounting, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Scope is fantastic. This is an AJAC Adolf Jackenkroll 4x90. For an 80-year-old scope, the clarity is just fantastic. The field of view is amazing, and it lets in so much light. This 4X AJAC from 1942 or whatever has a better sight picture than that Leupold. And as you can see, this rifle was rebuilt in like 1971 or something, so you can see that 71 mark. Really great rifle. And the ammo I was shooting was my hunting load. It's 140 grain Spear soft points, and I think I just put a max charge of IMR 4064 in there off the Spear manual. You know, it's not the best projectile by any means. I think that's actually the cheapest projectile you can get in .264. Focus, focus. So that is exactly 2 inches. I don't know if the camera's gonna focus on that. You know, it did okay. I will say that it's kind of weird this shot is like way outside of the group. Now this was actually my first shot. I know that because when I took my first shot, I wanted to make sure I was on paper because it still had my 600 yard zero from the last competition I shot. And so I changed the zero right before I started shooting just then to 100 yards. And I just wanted to make sure I was on paper. That was my first shot. And then the rest of them are all in this nice little group here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots kind of in this diagonal string. And then we have 4 shots in this nice little cluster right here. Kind of exactly what I got in the last competition I shot. At 600 yards, I put 9 shots in like a 6x8 group that was sort of diagonal. And then I had 1 shot that was way outside the group in the 8 ring. So yeah, I thought this rifle was gonna do MOA, to be honest. At the same time, my hand loads are not exactly match grade. So yeah, this group was overall 2 inches with that 1 shot all the way out here. 4 MOA. These guns are junk. If you have an M41B, please give it to me so I can go ahead and dispose of it properly. Let's go ahead and see if I can shoot 1 MOA with a handgun. Judging by how I've been shooting today, probably not. So let's go ahead and try anyways. And last but certainly not least, the Hammerli 208. So this is kind of like the best sport pistol, standard pistol, widely considered to be the best. The world record in 25 meter sport pistol is still held by a Hammerli 208, and a shooter using it, I think his name was Eric Bulging. A great super accurate pistol. I have this mount here. This is a Larry's Guns / Red Feather Outdoors red dot mount. I've got an Aimpoint Pro patrol rifle optic on here. I've got 2 zeros for 25 and 50 yards, and this is kind of how I'm going to shoot it tomorrow in a match, a 2700 match. And hopefully I can break 2600. That would be nice. Hopefully there's no wind. Last time there was a ton of wind. So let's go ahead and talk about its results. Obviously it's not MOA, or rather I'm not MOA with it. The group was measured at its extreme spread of 2 5/16 inches. And here we see about 6 shots closely clustered around the X ring with 4 shots kind of all the way around it. And dude, I will say by the time I shot this pistol, I was already like super fatigued. My eyes were kind of tired. I'd already sweated profusely for, you know, a couple hours before that and putting up with like overheating cameras and shit like that. If you've ever shot bullseye competition or you've ever shot like service rifle competition or any sort of bullseye sport, you'll know that that bullseye just gets like burned in your eye after a while and it just kind of creates like an after image almost. Me pulling the shot without really having a good sight picture is the reason why we have these shots all the way out here. I bet you if I put this thing in a ransom rest, it would chew out the X, the actual physical X. And the reason why I wanted to test this was because when I actually went and zeroed it with that red dot mount for the first time ever, I had a 3-shot group that was like that big. And then I had another 3-shot group that was like that big. Then I had another 3-shot group that was like that big. And that was like 9 shots, right? And if I overlaid all 3 of them, the group was like literally the size of the X. I think this handgun is certainly capable of it. I just wasn't capable of it today. Maybe not MOA, but maybe something like 2 MOA, which is still like really crazy for a handgun, right? And I will say this is probably not the best specimen of a Hammerli 208. This gun actually has a cracked frame, and I discovered that recently, so maybe that doesn't contribute to accuracy. It seems to be shooting fine. That is certainly more accurate than anyone can shoot in bullseye. Anyways, in conclusion, I'm not a 1 MOA shooter, at least not today, under these conditions, located entirely in my kitchen. I guess my guns are not 1 MOA today either. I guess they're just junk. I should probably just sell them, and I should buy some bench rest gun with a big 40X scope on it that costs as much as the rifle. And that's what shooting's all about, right? Spending money. Anyways, that's my 1 minute of angle all day long attempt. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.